every good American should reply to every one of his tweets for at least another 2 years with "Eat the cheeseburger."
I'm not hardcore like against H1Bs or against people, the best and the brightest from around the world coming to this country. I think
Sure.
I think that it's a mistake to do the Vivek thing and be like, but they make more widgets and widgets are good.
Oh,
Like that's
fuck.
that.
Listen. I'm just happy that Vivek has obliterated any chance he's ever had at a political career in the United States.
I don't think it's
He just
that bad.
I think it's that bad. I think everyone remembers that. Like everyone looked at what he did, he thought that everyone was going to stand up and clap. Instead, everyone says, "Shut the fuck up, nerd, and get back into the locker."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think his statement was that bad, and I also think that you'll see him appear politically in the future. I don't know that he'll get the
Well,
support to win the
he was
governor.
removed from Doge.
Yeah, I
He
know, but
was
the idea, the politics has a short memory, so we'll see. I don't think that this is the end of him forever. I just maybe it is, but I don't think so. And if
I
it is,
just
I think that's regrettable because I think he has stuff to offer. But the idea that it's
he
just
has stuff to offer, but he should be filtered. He should have someone
it was
filtering the stuff that he wants to do.
he said something that is directionally true, that there's a problem with the US educational system and that there's a problem with US culture. Directionally true. I wouldn't disagree with that. He also said something that maybe people would disagree with, but I don't necessarily, which is, hey, we should be able to bring in the best and the brightest. The problem
Here's the thing:
was the
the
time.
solution to the problems that he's highlighting is not Infinity Indians.
Well,
Like the
yes,
solution to no problem is Infinity
well, he
Indians.
would probably say that as well, though, right? The problem with what he said,
I
the big
big if
problem was
true.
the problem. What he said, the big problem was one, the timing. It's terrible, right? When we're talking about basically Trump got elected because we're tired. People in this country are tired of our government prioritizing everyone but the citizens of this country. We're tired of how our
Exactly.
border's been exploited. And so, even when it comes to topics of, quote, legal immigration, we don't want to fucking hear you talk about the failures of the people of this country. Even if
Not
they're
only that,
true. Even if they're true,
not
we don't want to hear it.
I don't entirely agree with his presentation. First of all, the media literacy check, TM.
Yes.
I think he's also badly misinterpreting the slop shows that he was referencing
Yes.
because I
Agreed.
think popular American media actually valorizes the nerd as the
That's
actual
exactly what
productive
I
member
said.
of
That's
society.
right. He actually has it
So,
inversed. We should go back to the
Redditor
time
take.
where the jocks were celebrated. We should go back to that time. We were better off then. That's the truth.
Probably,
I'm,
probably.
I'm just I'm hyperbolic here, but that's so he has it like backwards, right? Where he's like, oh, we should celebrate people with incredible academic achievements. I mean, not only it's we literally celebrate victims. He is right that if someone's just like, if you have a James Damore type character who's just this like weirdly autistic, really smart guy who doesn't have a filter because he's like fucking autistic, and he's like, yeah, Google, you're fucking nuts for this diversity shit saying to hire women. Here's 100 reasons why. Like
Sure, yeah.
that guy, like that's someone we should celebrate in the sense like, oh, he's a really smart guy who's really, adamant about his job. That guy gets fucked over. But the nerd
Yeah.
that's like the fucking, well, I'm a nerd, I'm a feminist, and that person's the big man now because he's a victim, right?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
not that it's
He's
not the
he's not celebrated
jock,
for being a nerd.
right? It's not the jock that's being celebrated. So it could. What I would say is we
Well,
need to get back to venerating and celebrating skilled people, whether that be skillful physical demands, skillful mental demands. You're a great student who's greatly achieving things. You're a great athlete that's greatly achieving. Those things should be celebrated. The idea, well, we're celebrating the great athlete, but not the great academic achievement. It's nuts. That's not what's happening. The other thing is the big problem that, other than the timing that I have, yeah, the specifics is stupid. Boy meets world. Get the fuck out of here. But
what was that quote? I believe that was Aristotle. It is shameful for someone to grow old and never know the capabilities of his own body.
right,
I may be butchering that quote.
that's close to it.
So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and so, but the big problem is a reading between the lines of what Vivek said to me, and I'm trying to be charitable here, as someone who likes Vivek. I think that what he's saying is the value that we should all aspire to is to be as successful in business as possible.
That's great. We don't. So
That
see the problem
sucks. That
with
sucks. That
this
that's
this this conversation is it's going to branch off and rabbit hole because of the shitty way he said it, with the shitty timing he said, and with the shit-eating grin that he said it
right.
with. Like his attitude was not helpful, and then Elon helped to pour more gasoline onto that conversation in the spurgy Elon way that he does. Uh, like for example, H1B in principle, great, but at a point where you have consulting firms importing infinity Indians, undercutting American wages, and like doing that for like the lowest level quote unquote skilled labor, because like a cashier is technically skilled labor, like, and a low level accountant is technically skilled labor. I'm sorry, we do not have a shortage of either.
Yeah, and I mean, and so then what I was gonna say is, so given all of that, one of the things that this birthright citizenship conversation, if you go to X, and the H1B conversation had this as well, all of a sudden you get these sort of people that are citizens of the United States that are from India, or people from India that are on H1Bs. Some of them, certainly there was racism directed against them, and some of it's remarkably unacceptable, right? I get that. And if I was a person of Indian descent and all of a sudden I saw hundreds of people liking posts that were like, you all smell bad, I'd probably be pissed off. Okay, yeah. But the
It's
reaction
not a
that,
it's not a constructive argument.
correct.
However, I would differentiate. I think that there are Indian people who are third, second generation immigrants who have naturalized into the culture. Like for example, Kash Patel doesn't raise any red flags with me. Like he's an American.
Mm-hmm.
Vivek, I'm sorry, but I maintain that every good American should reply to every one of his tweets for at least another 2 years with "Eat the cheeseburger." Then we'll
Yeah,
talk.
well, yeah, I get it.
Because I
It's
don't I
not
don't like the people who keep like one leg in the culture that they're actively escaping. Like I reference Texas very specifically here because like uh the predominance of Indian people in certain neighborhoods is generating friction.
right.
Like friction in like cultural
Yeah,
mismatches. Like they'll fucking
but there's
call the
different
police.
levels. There's different levels of this,
Well,
right?
let me provide like a tangible yet anecdotal example. Like you'll have people in neighborhoods with a large Indian presence just call the police on someone open carrying in Texas, and it's like if your local sheriff is cool, he'll explain to them you're in Texas, and that's okay. Don't call
That
us
has nothing to
again.
do with Vivek eating cheeseburgers.
It has nothing to do with well, it's like there it's on a scale, I would say.
Right, and
Vivek
that's what I'm
definitely
saying.
wouldn't call
That's
someone over open carrying,
correct. I don't think he would.
but he also still won't eat the cheeseburger.
That's fine. He doesn't have to eat the cheeseburger. If someone came over and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not going to eat the cheeseburger, but I sincerely believe in the values of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and I think the people in my community that don't understand that are fucking wretched. Why would I give a shit
That's
that he doesn't eat the cheeseburger?"
that is fine. That is fine. That
So,
is an acceptable
but the
concession.
point that I'm trying to make is that you had all these people from the Indian community that came out, like there's this guy Sindart that I almost debated on Wix panel, who came out and was like, fuck white people and blah 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 blah. I was just talking shit on white people, and I'm like, well, why would we want you here, right? Well, they were
That
racist to
is
me
yeah,
first.
that is a point.
These people were racist to me first. Maybe so, but nonetheless, you're the one
No,
seeking. You're the one seeking that the people of this country. Now, apparently, he's already a citizen, but hypothetically, in the H1B, we should be allowed to be made citizens. We should be brought in on H1Bs, right?
sorry,
And
but two wrongs don't make a right.
well, that's what I'm saying, and the point I'm trying to say is like, if I need you to give me $50 so I can pay my bills, and you say something racist to me, I still gotta swallow my pride and try to get that $50. If I start saying all kinds of vile shit about you, you're gonna say, okay, fuck that $50. And you might say, well, but it was reciprocal. Yeah, but nonetheless, I needed something from you. So it was pretty fucking stupid of me to start talking shit. Same thing here. If your
Yeah.
argument is, well, we're good and we'll be great for America, but fuck white people because we think white people have talked shit on us. That sounds like a good reason to not want you here.
Or
Because
if
other
your
white
line
people,
of your if your line of argumentation is pointing to all of the Indian CEO hires and saying like you've colonized us already, that's
right?
kind of you're
That's
kind of letting the mask slip.
that
That's a
they
bit of a
are,
red flag.
and that goes in line with like if Elon, well, Elon would be lumped in this, but if Vivek's central core belief is productivity, baby, make the most widgets, highest GDP, well, that's not true, right? Like, one, that's not the values we should prioritize in this country to get this country on the right track. Instead, we should be prioritizing family values. In fact, there's no shame at all in making a little less money but spending more time with your family. That's not to
Well,
say
for
that
one,
for some
raw
people.
GDP is also a faulty metric. I would say
Exactly.
if we prioritize GDP per capita, then the H1B argument becomes even weaker because if
Correct.
we foster productivity domestically without relying on imported talent for short-term gain, GDP per capita will be
That's
growing
correct.
because the argumentation of import the world, therefore line go up, has already been proven to be ineffectual.
That's right. So you're right about that. But even if it wasn't, even if there was a direct correlation, that still isn't what the purpose of our government or the purpose of your life should be.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
you could see that as an individual in your life. Yes, it is true, and studies have bore this out, but you don't need a study to tell you this. If you're fucking desperate and homeless and can't afford to eat, sure, more money would probably make you happier. But there comes a certain point where if your entire life is just, I just need to make as much money as possible, you're going to be a miserable fuck. And the same
Listen,
is true of trying. Go ahead.
I aspired to be a type A psychopath, so I can't entirely agree with it. But I
Okay.
agree that there's still a tapering off of
Correct.
the impact of making more money as you go further up Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right. So, for
That's
example,
that is true.
should we
And
have bring
line go up. Yeah,
should we bring Einstein in? Sure, sounds great.
yeah.
Once in a generation
The
scientific
Japanese may
mind.
disagree with that one.
Right, but okay, we bring Einstein in. But what if Einstein is like, and by the way, I fucking hate white Americans. I can't stand them. And he's just a piece of shit. Then no. If you're unwilling to assimilate, no matter what your skill set is, fuck off.
Yes.
That's how I feel. And so now the mask is further slipping with this, citizenship, birthright citizenship stuff, where I saw these posts on X today where you had all these Indians like, well, that's it. Now I'm here in an H1B visa and fuck all this shit. I paid taxes here and I've done this for this country and now my kid won't be a citizen. Fuck that. And it's like, oh, I thought it was just about the job. I thought that's
Well,
what it was about, right?
life's hard. Wear a fucking cap.
Well, but you see the point. It's like the first
Yes,
argument was
I do see that.
we just want to come here and work and help your country out, and now it's
Sure
like,
you do.
oh wait. Also, we want our kids to be citizens. And by the way, then we're going to want to be citizens because we'll say, well, our kid's a citizen. Why shouldn't we be? Right? That's going to be the argument. And so now they're like, well, fine, we'll just go home. And it's like, okay. Problem solved. See
Don't
ya.
threaten me with a good time.
And like, that Sindorth guy, I saw some of the comments, he would point out like a person. And let me be clear. I'm not against the idea of bringing in the world's best and brightest. I'm not.
Yes.
If they're willing to assimilate to an accurate degree, right? So he would point out a person, be like, this is this guy. And look at his story. He came and he graduated Columbia Law, and then he's from India, and he was here in an H1B, and every 3 years he has to renew it. And he started this, small business, and he employs 80
Okay,
people.
and
He's done all this shit and blah, blah, blah.
hold up. Who are the 80 people?
Well, it doesn't matter. Let's assume they're all Americans.
No. It does matter because
Well,
I would like to see the share of them also being H1Bs.
Well, okay, but let's assume zero. Let's steelman their position. It's
Okay,
all
let's do
Americans,
that.
okay? So it's all Americans,
Okay.
and he's employed these 80 people, and his life's a nightmare. Every 3 years, he has to renew his visa. And this country owes him something for how much he's contributed. So
No.
here's what my response to that is. One, I'm sure it's an inconvenience to have to re-up for H-1B status every 3 years. I don't think that means your life's a hell.
I'm sorry.
Second-
First of all, every country does that. Every country
Right, of
requires you
course.
to renew
Of
work
course,
visas.
Of course. Secondly, what it sounds like is this guy owes America a lot. Sounds
Yes.
like the people of America allowed this guy to come in, provided him with an education that allowed him to be remarkably successful and become a millionaire. That's what it sounds like. And so instead of saying, wow, thank you, citizens of the United States. Thank you for leaving me be a guest that helped me achieve. Now I'd really like to be part of your family. I want to be a citizen of the country. Instead of that approach, your approach is, how dare you make his life inconvenient? You owe him. What do we owe him?
That's not productive.
And then the other point is, well, if you're right, because Sindarth goes on to say, well, this other countries would be happy to take this guy. Then great, let them. It doesn't sound like his life's hell then. If he's
Sorry,
willing,
how many H-1B Indians does China receive every year?
well, it's a bullshit argument. I know that. But if his argument is, this guy's so great, the rest of the world will be clamoring for him, then why is he living through hell? If having to renew your visa for every 3 years is hell, and every other
Exactly.
country in the world would take him, then he would move to another
Exactly.
country. He'd say, "Fuck this, I'm heading to Denmark."